Hey y'all, thanks for stopping by. Today on Takedown Talk, we're taking a look at the Kershaw CQC 11K, my favorite budget blade. This is a mod episode, so we're going to take it down, we're going to modify it, and we'll also talk about how one of my favorite characters in fiction, Guts, inspired this mod. So stick around, this is sure to be a fun one. Let's get into it. Why the Kershaw CQC 11K? Because it's a tough, durable, and imposing knife at an accessible price. And I haven't even mentioned that it was designed by the legendary Ernest Emerson of Emerson Knives. This has long been my favorite budget blade for all of these reasons and more, and I think it illustrates the excellent value that Kershaw has committed to in recent years. So let's take a closer look, starting with the handle. The CQC 11K is a steel frame lock sporting a G10 scale on the show side and a flat dark earth coloration. This particular knife has undergone an acid wash, which we'll get to later, but the stock version uses the same shade of G10 with no other color options available. The bead blast finish on the lock side is, in my opinion, horrendously ugly, and I think it was a complete miss that Kershaw didn't stonewash it to match the blade. The scales are very slab-like, with rounded edges but no radiusing whatsoever. That said, the extremely thin profile of the knife allows this to be one of the easiest carrying large knives I've ever handled. There are dedicated finger grooves, but they aren't too aggressive, so at least for my small but wide hands, the ergonomics are quite good. Conversely, hot spots do reveal themselves pretty quickly during long-term cutting, caused primarily by the parrot's beak behind the blade. But if we're being honest, this knife is intended to be a self-defense tool rather than a daily cutter, and this feature makes for a fine guard to prevent your hand from slipping up on the edge in such an encounter. Overall, the fit and finish is good, not great. The steel liner doesn't always match up perfectly with the G10, and the gap for the lock bar is one of the widest I've ever seen. But the construction feels very sturdy with 3 standoffs and a sizable stop pin. There is a good size cutout for access to the lock bar, and the lock bar itself disengages smoothly and is suitably jimped with a lockup sitting around 50%. Speaking of jimping, this handle has a lot of it in well thought out areas, such as the top of the spine where it meets the back of the blade, and at the base where your last 2 fingers land, ensuring that this knife isn't leaving your hands when you don't want it to. All in all, though this handle does have some noticeable flaws for daily use, I can appreciate that it is unapologetically designed from the ground up with combat in mind. There are 2 versions of this knife which are identical save for the steels. The more affordable option offers 8CR14 MOV for $29, which is a pretty damn good deal, but I would suggest saving $20 more to get it in D2, which is superior in almost every way. D2 is a very common budget steel that has a low level of corrosion resistance but high amounts of chromium and carbon, meaning it can rust if you don't take care of it, but it has good edge retention and a fair amount of toughness relative to introductory ingot steels like the 8CR14 on the cheaper model. The design of the blade itself is what attracted me to this knife, and it is clearly a classic Emerson blade shape. In fact, the most interesting thing about this knife is that it is basically a less expensive version of the Emerson Rendezvous, albeit with lower levels of finish and a frame lock instead of a liner lock. No other models in the Kershaw lineup have come so close to an existing Emerson pattern. The blade has an upswept tip that is reminiscent of Persian knives and swords, and is highly effective for skinning, so this may be a good option for hunters. It has a shallow hollow grind that quickly rises to a sturdy blade stock of about 1/8 of an inch, making this a fairly dense blade that could likely withstand some abuse. The cost of this stock thickness is that it's not the greatest slicer in the world, and it is particularly bad at food prep. But I don't think Mr. Emerson meant for you to worry about how his knives cut apples anyway. A major negative is the plunge grind, which meets the sharpening choil at the very end, rendering the choil pretty much useless. This is something you will often see on budget models from Kershaw and CRKT. As far as deployment goes, we have 2 solid methods, the classic Emerson thumb disc as well as the patented Emerson wave. The thumb disc pivots slowly but smoothly on Teflon washers, and with a little bit of wrist, the blade can be flicked open fairly quickly. The wave feature, however, is my favorite way to deploy the knife, and it is useful when you need your blade in a pinch. It works like this. The hook at the end of the wave catches the seam of your pants pocket and throws the blade out with quite a bit of force. Once you get the hang of it, it works very reliably. The pocket clip is an Emerson-style clip, and it works well. Emerson clips are known for their low positioning on the handle, resulting in a shallow carry. But the thought process there emphasizes the ability to get to your knife when you need it. It can be carried right or left side tip up, and retains well in the pocket and won't fall out even if you were suspended upside down. Acquiring the CQC 11K is very easy, as both iterations can be bought through all of the major online retailers, as well as Amazon and eBay. Its purpose of use is self-defense with the ability to drop into everyday carry. Though it wasn't intentionally designed for day-to-day tasks, it can handle that role well enough, and I still recommend it for EDC. What's ultimately so great about this knife is it is an affordable and unabashed Emerson design with a decent effort from Kershaw in terms of production. If you want a reliable workhorse of a tool that is always at the ready, look no further than the Kershaw CQC 11K. So how did Guts inspire this mod? Guts is the main character of the show Berserk, and his life and story is characterized by betrayal, loss, and the promise of retribution. Throughout the show, his body, his gear, and his famous sword known as the Dragon Slayer take on a weather-worn and battle-hardened appearance from the many skirmishes he has fought through. For the CQC 11K, which already possessed a stalwart and tough appearance, an acid wash was the perfect way to achieve that distressed but enduring aesthetic. Now let's rewind and find out exactly how this blade became the Berserker. Alright y'all, disassembling and modifying the Kershaw Emerson CQC 11K. I love this knife. This is my very favorite budget knife. A lot of reasons. Excellent steel. D2. Originally this blade was in 8CR 14 MOV, so it was pretty awesome when they released it in D2. I was very excited. Lockup is great, got a nice thick frame lock here. Blade shape is absolutely wonderful. I'm a big fan of this blade shape, kind of a Skinner type of blade. Huge belly. It's just awesome for a lot of cutting tasks. Not particularly thin, but I do prefer kind of a stout blade, and you know, that's part of the Emerson kind of vibe to it. Good G10 handle. It's very comfortable. Locks into your hand, as Emersons are known to do. It has kind of a parrot's beak on both sides, so this thing is not going anywhere in your hand. So what I want to do today, guys, is number one, disassemble it, but number two, we're going to try something a little crazy. We're going to do an acid etching. We're going to do it on the lock side, the blade, the pocket clip, and the liner over here. So yeah, let's not waste any more time. Let's get into it, guys. First things first, I'm going to take off this lanyard. I like this lanyard a lot. It's got some sentimental value because it's got my, I had a motorcycle wreck some years back. Motorcycle's fixed and works great now, but I had a couple of nuts that, that went rogue that I recovered, so I stuck them on the lanyard. This is the knife I tend to carry when I'm riding, but in any case, I'm gonna remake this lanyard in a shorter form. And but I do want to save this these nuts. The new Maximet Sage 1, by the way. This thing is freaking sweet. Anyway, back to the knife of the hour. We go put those guys aside for now. All right, so As most of you know, I'm sure with Emerson things are a little bit different. This uses, let me get my iFixit set here, iFixit tool set. Due to the recommendations of old Nick Shabazz. So this knife uses the Emerson style of assembly. So the pivot is a big old flathead, and the body screws are all Phillips, which honestly I'm not crazy about. Let's see if that's the right size Phillips head. Yeah, it's perfect. Not crazy about that. I wish he'd done Torx. I understand though, I mean the whole point is for it to be readily, you know, worked on in the field, and folks are more likely, does that fit? Yeah, that'll fit. Folks are, well, maybe not. Just put a nice big scratch on my G10 there. But in any case, folks are more likely to have access to a Phillips head or a flat head than they are, is that spinning? Here we go, that's the problem, it was not captive. Really scratching up the G10. Honestly, not super worried about it just because this is a user, but still, would rather not scratch it up. But yeah, so folks are going to definitely have more access to flatheads and Phillips. So I get it, but still, wish it had been Torx. One thing I enjoy about the Kershaw Emerson lineup is I think almost all of them are V-ground, so which I prefer. That's my one negative. I have never handled an Emerson. I would love to handle an actual Emerson. Our pivot, by the way, guys, is D-shaped. Always nice. Nice captive pivot. Let's see if the blade will just come right out. Yeah, let's get that blade out of there. Let's set the blade here for now. We're running on Teflon washers, which I'll get out when I get this thing further disassembled. But anyway, back to what I was saying. Emersons tend to be, what do you call it? Not V-ground. I'm trying to think of the terminology. They're ground only on one side. The other side is flat. Y'all might be able to enlighten me in the comments what that's called. I'm blanking out right now. But it's not always the most pleasant for EDC, and I've had a Kershaw one where they actually did do that as well. I think it's the CQC. Oh, I can't remember the number. All right, so let's get the pivot over here. It's an all black one with a G10 handle. It's a liner lock. Can't remember the number though. I think my good buddy Wolfman Walsh actually has that one. I think I gave it to him as a gift. It's a weird vibe though when you handle one of those for the first time that has the there's another screw, has the slab siding, for lack of a better term. Okay, good. All right, so this side's totally off. I just need to get that screw out. There it goes. All right, guys, so we have our G10 side and our stainless steel liner. Bead blasted. Not a fan. I do not like bead blast. More recent iterations of this knife in D2, the photos have stone washed, which I would much more prefer because the blade, let's see here, has a very nice stone wash on it. Also, you guys can see I've got one of my, what I call a cloudy mirror finish on the edge with my work sharp. If you have any questions about how to do that, let me know in the comments. I'll tell you about it. Let's get this pocket clip off now. Here we go. But yeah, not a fan of the bead blast. It just, let's set the pocket clip screws over here. Especially when you're combining it with different finishes. Now I have, originally this pocket clip was painted black. I have sanded the paint off of it and done kind of a rough hammered type finish to it, which I actually kind of like. But I don't know, just feeling like I wanted to try something different. This knife is affordable enough that if I really screw it up, I can get another one. Plus it would have a stone wash, I think, which I would be all about. So it's a great one to experiment on. Let's see how readily these screws will come. Oh, there's our stop pin. Let's place that over here. See if these screws will come out of these back spacers. I don't think they're going to. Yeah, nice. Okay, I was afraid I'd have to bust out the pliers. Pretty sweet. Y'all might hear my dog shaking his head back over there. He's being a little, doing a lot of head shaking today. I'm worried he might have an ear infection, but you know how it is with the pups. Always got to have an eye out for something. Okay, and here we go. Let's see here. Oh, this one's kind of fighting me. Might have to put the pliers on this one. Come on. Let's see what I got here. I'm gonna use my kids' socks real quick. They've got little grippy rubber things on them. Maybe that'll help. I think it's free spinning. Yeah, I think we're gonna have to get the pliers out for that one. Oh, we came so close, guys. So close. All right, not a big deal. I don't mind dinging up these. I don't mind dinging up the backspacers on this. Again, this is a user. I just don't fret about it too much. There we go. All right. Let's see how badly that messed it up. It's got a nick. It's not too bad though. I think I can probably hide that pretty easy too. All right, good old Leatherman rebar. For the money, I think this is one of the best multi-tools you can get. Okay, so this is it, guys. This is the exploded view of the Kershaw CQC, the Kershaw Emerson CQC 11K. All right, so let's get these parts cataloged, guys. We have our stainless steel lock side, no skeletonization, it's quite heavy, but it's robust. Nice thick piece of steel. Bead blasted. Got our D2 blade, beautiful blade shape, I love it. Some grinding issues you'll see right here, look at that, almost a bit of a recurve there near the sharpening choil, which was not done properly either. But you know, for a budget blade, I'm not gonna complain too much. Ooh, that reminds me, guys, we got one more part to remove. We need to get rid of the thumb disc. All right. There we go. Set that there. Perfect. Okay, guys, so got our blade. Also going to add our thumb disc and our thumb disc screw, our stainless steel liner, and our G10 handle. Let's see if I can get that scratch out somehow, but who knows. Pocket clip, 1, 2, 3 pocket clip screws, 3 back spacers, 6 body screws, our pivot screw, which is a flathead by the way, our stop pin, and 2 Teflon washers. So, a little bit different on the cleanup today, guys. I'm going to put on a pair of nitrile gloves here because this is really important, this next part. So what we're going to do here is we have to make sure that all of the parts that we will be etching are very clean. As clean as you can get them. You do not want any oil of any kind, whether it's oil from your hands or what have you. I have done this before on a test blade and it looked pretty cool, but I definitely could tell that I had not gotten everything off. And so that time I attempted it using Dawn soap. So this time I want to just go straight in with alcohol. So scrub real good here. Try to get any kind of fluid or oil or anything that could be on here. We're going to try to get it off. Obviously the inside I'm less concerned about. It's more the outside that I'm worried about, but we're going to do this too. I'm curious how, the first blade that I attempted this on was HCR 14 and it darkened up pretty quick. I actually overcooked it. With the D2, I think it would be even more likely to do that since it's higher in carbon. So I'm hoping for an even finish. If that doesn't happen, it's not the end of the world. I still think like kind of a more distressed look is cool too. We shall see. One thing I'm also concerned about is the action being a little bit stiffer, since acid etchings tend to give you kind of a textured almost sort of finish. So it may make the action stiffer, but on this knife, this isn't really a flicky knife anyway. I can flick it open, but it's not like fidgety, you know. So I'm not overly concerned about it. We'll see. If I have to slow open it, I'm totally cool with that. And the last piece that we really need to scrub on is this one. This pocket clip is probably not going to turn out great, just because it still has paint on the backside. I only sanded the front, and I kind of like having the paint there because it slides into my pocket smoothly because of the paint. So I'm not going to remove that. And I don't think, so what this treatment is it's ferric chloride mixed with water, which gives you some form of like hydrochloric acid. It's not pure HCl, but it's, you know, it's some form of that. If I'm not mistaken, and I'm not a chemist, so you guys tell me if I got that wrong. In any case though, if you have paint or something on the surface of the material that you're attempting to etch, it will prevent it from etching. So get that cleaned off about as good as we can get it. All right guys, so that's all the extras. I'm not going to be etching the disc. I think it'll look a lot cooler keeping that clean. So yeah, let's just wipe the rest of these off real quick. Just get that G10 handle kind of cleaned off. These washers are a bit gunky. Something about these Teflon washers, man. They just, at one point they just, you can't clean the damn things off. They just get so gunky, it like won't come off. All right, cleaning up the pivot now real quick. Okay guys, and I reckon that should do it. So, stick around guys, we're about to go to the chemistry lab, if you will, and I'll explain how we're gonna do that. So I'll see you guys over there in just a minute. All right, y'all, so I know this is very unprofessional, very low tech, but first off, we have our mixture of ferric chloride and water. It's equal parts ferric chloride, equal parts water, and then I have a mixture of baking soda and water to use as a neutralizing agent. So let's get started. We're going to start with the blade. I'm using this coat hanger to dip it down into the mixture there. Let me bend that a bit. All right. Okay, here we go. Got our blade here, just gonna hook that on. There we go. Drop that right in. There we go. And we're gonna let that sit for about 2 minutes.
A few minutes later.
Okay guys, at the 2-minute mark, I think it needs to go a little bit longer. Let's give it 2 more minutes.
2 very boring minutes later.
Yeah, I think this is gonna be about what we want. Okay, so just dropping the knife in the base. Let's wash it off in the soapy water real quick. All right, guys, so this is it. Pretty happy with how it turned out. I wish it looked like these matched a little closer than they do, but I'm not too upset about it. I think it's still gonna look really, yeah, it's gonna look awesome. So let's get this put back together. Oh, another thing, I mentioned before that I tested this on another knife. So it was the same knife except in 8CR14. So I do have an extra G10 scale. So I'm probably going to use this. It's pretty close to the same color. It's actually more brown than this one. I think this one's a little bit more of a dark, I don't even know what it is. So I'll probably use this, see how well it lines up. Yeah, let's take this guy out. I think this is going to look great, guys. All right, let's get back into reassembly. I've already done the cleaning off screen, plus you guys saw me wipe it down with alcohol, so nothing fancy happening there. Let's start off by getting our back spacers started here, and it doesn't matter which side we start with. All right. Yeah, guys, y'all might be making fun of me a little bit for how anal retentive I am about you know, wearing gloves, and I got a jumpsuit on and all this stuff, but I am a bit of a bit careful about stuff like that, which is good. You should be, and that's something I should tell you guys right now is if you're planning on trying this yourselves, take precautions. Don't be an idiot about it. Ferric chloride is nothing to, you know, screw around with. It's serious stuff. So yeah, just be careful. Also, Blade HQ has an excellent video up on how to do this that is far more professional than mine. So I'm going to link it in the description and y'all can check it out yourselves. And I am sure that that will be more, even more helpful to you than this. All right, did I at least get these started? Yeah, they're started. I'll tighten them the rest of the way as we go here. Let's get our pivot in place. And you can see here on the lock side that it is flat on the inside, so we'll match the pivot up here. There we go. And where's our stop pin? There's our stop pin. Let's see, one side is thicker than the other. I should have made a note of this. I imagine, yeah, it's going to be this side since this is the thicker side. Okay, let's get our oil here and a little applicator. There we go. I am going to need to resharpen the blade. Obviously, I kind of lost my pretty mirror edge, but that's okay. There we go, that's enough. I have found that Teflon actually seems to run better for me lubricated, so I am lubricating my Teflon these days. All right, got our stop pin in place, got everything else. Let's get the blade in. Pull the lock bar down there. Perfect. Oh, that's just because the stop bar is wiggling. Okay, thought I had some blade play there for a minute. We'll see what happens when I get everything put together here. Let's get the next washer on. Go ahead and oil the blade as well. That'd be interesting if I got blade play, because then it's like, well, we'll see. My theory is that once I get the liner on and it locks into place, you see where it's going to lock right there, that it'll keep it from wiggling as much. Okay, everything's kind of sitting in place. It's not the easiest, prettiest thing in the world. Damn, this looks cool, guys. Oh, damn, y'all, this is going to look nice. All right, so let's start with the rest of the body screws. Oh, you know what? Can't do this without the good old Loctite. All right, just a dab there. No play. All right, we're going to leave it there. And now I'm not going to touch it. I'm going to let it cure. But we are going to go ahead and put the pocket clip back on. It's done with that flathead now. Geez, this has been an adventure, guys. Thank y'all for sticking with me through it all. There we have it, guys. What do y'all think? As I'm going to call it, the Berserker mod. I've been watching a whole lot of Berserk lately, so I think this looks like a knife that Guts would carry. Let me know if you agree. So, Kershaw CQC 11K. It is a bad-ass budget blade. Highly recommend it. I'm going to sharpen that edge so it looks as pristine as it did when we first started. But yeah, guys, overall I'm happy. Gonna let that Loctite cure before I do that sharpening. And thank you for joining me, guys. Hopefully this was helpful to you. You got some information that is useful, and I'll see y'all soon.